This is the tale of a retired hunter named Yoon Ah-jun, a man who runs a quiet tavern in Seoul and acts like all he does is pour drinks. The truth is far more dangerous. He is the infamous Mad Dog of Seoul, a living weapon who crushes demons with his bare fists, wipes out loan shark hunters, and somehow ends up becoming the guardian of a half-elf girl who escaped a nightmarish research facility. At the same time, marshals dig into cases involving serial murders, orc worshippers, and forbidden demonic experiments. Anyone foolish enough to mess with his bar, the people under his roof, is put down with a single punch. A red warning light cuts through the darkening sky. An alarm spreads through the silent streets, echoing across rooftops and down empty alleys. The message is unmistakable. A dungeon break has begun. While panic grips the city, one man remains completely focused on his task. He finishes the last touch with a soft clang and smiles in satisfaction. His newest project, a hunter pub, is finally done. And what better moment for a grand opening than a dungeon outbreak? Still, something feels wrong. The streets of Seoul are deserted. He slowly pulls off his headphones and the sudden roar of chaos nearly stops his heart. Half joking, he wonders if a dungeon just blew up nearby. Turns out those noise-canceling headphones were worth every coin. His joke is answered by the sight of zombies flooding the streets below. His expression hardens as he scans the scene, wondering where all the so-called hunters are. Grabbing a crowbar, he mutters that they have gone soft. Cracking his knuckles, he prepares himself. If he leaves this mess alone, it might ruin his brand new pub. He swings the crowbar down with savage force, standing firm in the chaos. Another undead lunges from the shadows, but he sidesteps and counters without hesitation. His grip tightens around the blood-smeared weapon as the horde closes in. Completely surrounded, he mocks them, saying troublemakers aren't welcome here. He even takes it as a lucky sign for business, inviting them all to test their luck. Standing atop a pile of defeated enemies, he waits for more. A year passes in an instant, and the Hunter pub officially opens. Inside, a visibly irritated customer vents her frustrations. B-rank Marshal Cha Min-young, whose greatest enemy seems to be Mondays, loudly complains about her soul-crushing job while draining an enormous mug of ale. She admits that without the paycheck, she would have quit long ago. Sitting with her is B-rank hunter Kim Won, who suggests another career path. She immediately shuts it down, saying the hunter's life is far too brutal. According to her, marshals only exist because hunters keep failing. He sighs, explaining there are simply too many gates to handle. Unimpressed, she tells him to work harder for her sake. He scoffs, calling her a monster who can beat ogres barehanded. She dares him to see just how hard that monster can hit. A fresh drink lands on the counter, served by the tavern owner, Yoon Ah-jun, who tells them to take their lover's argument somewhere else. Their synchronized denial only proves his point. He clutches his chest dramatically, lamenting his lonely single life. Kim Won tells Cha Min-young to ignore the teasing, but the owner's smug smile says he's already won. Another drink slides over to the marshal, who doubts it at first. The moment she tastes it, her face melts into bliss. Kim Hwan questions her choice, and she fires back about his strange preferences. Unbothered, she orders another round. Before Yoon Ah-jun can answer, the tavern's heavy wooden door begins to shake violently before exploding inward. Smoke fills the room as a massive figure staggers inside, eyes glowing ominously. He demands their strongest alcohol, assuming everyone knows who he is. His rambling makes little sense, and while he claims connections to powerful people, Kim Hwan and Cha Min-young quickly realize this isn't a normal drunk. The glowing eyes and unstable aura point to mana infection. She suggests stopping him before he fully mutates and tells Yoon Ah-jun to stay back. This is their fight. A cold blue glint flashes in the tavern owner's eye as he steps over the wreckage of his door. All he can think about is his poor, defenseless entrance. Kim Hwan tries to calm things down, offering to escort the man outside. The intruder refuses, insisting he'll drink here. Cha Min-young switches tactics, offering a painfully aggressive massage. Her eyes glow dangerously, but the man responds by throwing a chair across the room and snarling at them to move aside. That's when Yoon Ah-jun decides enough is enough and lands a heavy punch straight to the man's jaw. The intruder blocks the next strike mid-swing, his grip impossibly strong. Enraged, he calls the tavern master a nuisance. Yoon Ah-jun is shocked that his hits aren't connecting. The man tosses him across the room effortlessly, but Cha Min-young steps in, her hand blazing with fire. She unleashes a powerful fiery blast that engulfs the infected man and sends him flying. She rushes to check on Yoon Ah-jun, who claims he's fine, just surprised. They realize this enemy is no ordinary infected, but a high-tier threat. As Yoon Ah-jun wishes for a weapon, she teases him about his earlier words and suggests coordinating attacks. The intruder roars at them not to interfere, his power surging as his transformation accelerates. His body warps into a monstrous form. Releasing a shockwave, throws them back and tears the tavern apart. He mutters a cryptic number. Chaman-young realizes he's fully demonic now, and they're unarmed. Kim Hwan resolves to protect the civilian tavern owner. Instead of fleeing, Yoon Ae-jun steps forward. Kim Hwan can only stare in disbelief as he shouts for him to retreat. Both hunters beg the civilian to run. The demon only roars again, demanding a drink. That cold blue light returns to Yoon Ae-jun's eyes. His customers think he's lost his mind, warning that even hunters would struggle. Calmly, he surveys the wreckage of his tavern. His gaze settles on the shattered remains of his front door. He clenches his fist and says, "This is no way to treat a business." The monster towers over him, giving one final warning: no drink means death. Chaman-young watches helplessly. Kim Hwan is frozen in shock. Yoon Ae-jun doesn't flinch. His eyes glow brighter. In a blink, he delivers 5-star service. The monster's eyes widen as its body cracks and shatters under the impact. Its massive form collapses, destroyed by overwhelming force. Kim Hwan and Chaman-young can only stare in stunned silence. Yoon Ae-jun faces the fallen monster, cracks his knuckles, and offers some friendly advice about dental care. Before it can even react, another crushing blow slams into its chest, echoing through the ruined tavern. The beast staggers, unable to understand what just happened. Yoon Ae-jun roars in frustration, asking why people insist on coming into his bar just to cause chaos. The creature twitches once, then goes still. Yoon Ae-jun calmly straightens his tie, feeling refreshed. His message is clear without being spoken. Anyone who messes with his bar will regret it. Chaman-young's mind goes blank. Kim Hwan is just as shaken. Quietly, he suggests they never, ever make the tavern owner angry. A lesson painfully learned from the demon lying broken on the floor. As Yoon Jun drags the corpse away, Chaman-young finally speaks up. She asks if he is really nothing more than a retired B-rank hunter. Kim Hwan answers that, according to his official license, that is exactly what he is. Yoon Jun then calmly draws Chaman-young's attention to the situation, explaining his case for self-defense and an insurance claim while standing over the bagged remains of the intruder. He even tells the twitching body to be quiet because the adults are talking. She watches him with clear disbelief, unconvinced that his life had ever truly been in danger. Yoon Jun sighs, muttering that troublemakers never know when to stay down, and asks for the marshal's professional judgment. Chaman-young confirms that the demon struck first and that her testimony will clear him of any wrongdoing. Yoon Jun smiles in relief, glad he will not need to dismantle the marshal station later. Kim Hwan can only stare, thinking the tavern owner is completely strange. He recalls that Yoon Jun had seemed odd ever since they first met. A memory surfaces, someone telling him to wake up. It was Yoon Jun asking why he was collapsed in front of a brand new tavern. Kim Hwan, bruised and battered, could barely lift his head from the alley floor. He was barely conscious, lying in the middle of the street, struggling to push himself upright. He apologized weakly, saying he had blacked out and would leave right away. Instead, Yoon Jun offered him a hand. As Kim Hwan turned to leave, the tavern owner stopped him with a hand on his shoulder and offered him a drink, claiming alcohol was the best disinfectant. Kim Hwan looked back in confusion, only then noticing the tavern sign hanging overhead. He politely declined, admitting he had no money, but Yoon Jun simply smiled and said the first drink was free for his very first customer. Inside, the tavern was fully stocked with beer barrels, chilled champagne, and a bottle of incredibly expensive aged scotch. Kim Hwan hesitantly took a sip. His face twisted instantly in disgust as he complained about the harsh, medicinal smell. Yoon Jun only laughed, calling it a drink with personality. Kim Hwan asked who could possibly enjoy something so awful. Yoon Jun replied that it was an acquired taste, one his father had hated at first as well. The mention of his father caught Kim Hwan off guard. He asked how Yoon Jun could possibly know him. Yoon Jun casually confirmed they were acquainted and said he owed the man a great deal. Kim Hwan stared down at his phone in silence as Yoon Jun explained that Kim Hwan's father used to brag about his son constantly. He even produced an old photograph as proof. Kim Hwan was visibly moved, admitting it was the first time he had met someone who knew his dad. Yoon Jun brushed it off, saying he was retired now, a leftover from another era. Kim Hwan swirled the strange drink, questioning the owner's casual clothes and drinking on the job. Yoon Jun smirked and said it was his place, his rules. He had even put up a closed sign because there was no reason to work on opening day. Kim Hwan admitted this wasn't the image he had of a bartender. Yoon Jun shrugged, calling it a perk of being the boss. Changing the subject, Yoon Jun asked why Kim Hwan had been beaten so badly, adding that he didn't need to answer if he didn't want to. Kim Hwan eventually confessed that he had been attacked by a loan shark. Yoon Jun was surprised, remembering that Kim Hwan's brother used to earn good money. Kim Hwan explained that everything fell apart when his mother co-signed a loan and then disappeared, leaving him alone to care for his younger sibling. Yoon Jun questioned how he could fall behind with a hunter's salary when the principal was only 10 million. A few solid gate raids should have covered it easily. Kim Hwan revealed that the predatory interest caused the debt to spiral out of control. Yoon Jun's expression hardened as he understood the nature of the loan. Things became desperate when his sibling needed emergency surgery, leaving him no choice but to turn to hunter loan sharks, illegal lenders run by hunters themselves. Yoon Jun claimed he was just thinking out loud, but a cold resolve settled in his eyes. He offered another drink, his decision already made. Somewhere else in the city, the loan sharks operated out of an unremarkable building. Soon after, Yoon Jun stepped out of his tavern. Meanwhile, Kim Hwan walked home feeling lighter than he had in years. Guilty about the free drinks, he promised to repay the debt someday. That thought was interrupted by a mocking voice. A loan shark scoffed at the idea of him ever getting money. Kim Hwan staggered through the empty streets as the man taunted his hope, asking if he really believed that day would come. Two more figures soon blocked his path, accusing him of affording drinks but not his debt. The thugs were eager to vent their frustration on him. The loan shark considered harsher measures, but one underling reminded him that injured debtors couldn't pay. Suddenly, one of them noticed someone else nearby. A man they didn't recognize stood watching. It was Yoon Jun. Terror filled their faces as his grip closed around them. They screamed in agony as he lifted both effortlessly, warning them they were far too curious for their own good. Back at the loan shark headquarters, the night was calm. A strange blue-skinned figure examined a small orb, wondering where the others were. The boss, BK Won Min, decided to call them, only for a voice to tell him not to bother. The delivery had already arrived violently. Panic spread as they wondered which rival group was attacking. A calm voice corrected them. It was just Yoon Jun, returning their missing employees. One man scoffed at the sight of two bodies collapsed on the floor. The boss finally demanded the intruder's name as weapons were raised. Yoon Jun introduced himself as a tavern owner taking out the trash. BK Won Min laughed, calling him insane and warned that bravery had consequences. With a twisted grin, he ordered his men to attack. They rushed forward eagerly, but Yoon Jun simply invited them to try. His eyes glowed as he welcomed their move. Kim Hwan later recalled how his life changed once his debt vanished. Illegal hunter groups across the city disappeared without explanation. Now he understood. It was all because of the tavern master. Yoon Jun, however, looked unimpressed. He kicked aside the last body and declared business closed for the day. As the sun set, the alley behind the tavern became a restricted zone. Inside, Yoon Jun complained about being lectured over his cleanup. Insurance helped, but quiet days were rare. All that work left him hungry. He decided to close up and grab some ramen. Stepping outside, he debated the most important question of the night: which ramen to eat. His thoughts stopped abruptly. A young woman was collapsed in front of his tavern. The sight stirred a distant memory. A child's voice echoed. His vision blurred as a single word surfaced from the past. A small girl stood smiling proudly, holding out a gift. She announced it was a birthday present and thanked him for everything. The memory was unclear, but the feeling was not. Yoon Jun clenched his fist, overwhelmed. She worries that he might be injured, but he only smiles, saying he's just glad to be her father. His sudden wave of emotion makes her a little shy. He slips the watch onto his wrist, admiring the thought behind the gift. She grins proudly and tells him to keep it somewhere safe. The memory dissolves as his eyes snap open. Yoon Jun finds himself staring at the ceiling of his bedroom. He sits up slowly, wondering if everything he just saw was only a dream. His thoughts drift to his missing family and regret weighs on him for failing to find them. Suddenly, a small blonde girl appears in his room. Startled, he stumbles backward and falls onto the bed. He stares at her, searching his memory, then realizes she's the child he brought in from the street. He brushes off her thanks, saying he couldn't just leave her out there. As he tells her to rest, she reaches toward him with an intense look in her eyes. Yoon Jun freezes in confusion. Without warning, she lunges forward and bites him squarely on the neck. The story rewinds 10 minutes earlier. Morning sunlight spills through the attic window. Yoon Jun sleeps on a cot beside a larger bed where the rescued girl lies peacefully. Slowly, she begins to wake, rubbing her eyes and clearing the haze from her head. Her small hands clench as she prepares to rise. She stretches and greets the morning cheerfully, but her smile fades as confusion sets in. She looks around, unsure where she is. Her hand sinks into the soft bed, and she marvels at the unfamiliar comfort beneath her. Her attention shifts when she notices Yoon Jun sleeping nearby. Sitting up, she wonders who this strange man is. A sudden memory flashes through her mind. A woman in a lab coat warning her about strangers. The girl asks what to do if she's already been caught. The woman smiles and offers advice involving eye jabs and a painful kick. Panic floods the girl as she realizes she's been kidnapped. At that moment, the man beside her starts to stir. Desperately recalling the advice, she aims for his eyes and leaps forward. Yoonjun barely has time to react before she tackles him with surprising strength. Thus begins another peaceful morning at the tavern. As Yoonjun reels from the attack, the girl proudly declares she's punishing him. Yoonjun tearfully insists he's not a kidnapper, but she counters with her own flawless logic. He groans about her overly aggressive self-defense, while she proudly explains she learned it from someone named Ro. Yoonjun stares blankly, wondering who taught a child something like that and deeply regrets trying to help. The girl, meanwhile, starts to see the benefits of being kidnapped. Yoonjun forces a strained smile, realizing logic won't work here. He points to the door and tells her she's free to leave. She doesn't move. When he asks why she's still there, she admits she doesn't know what to do. Her honest answer catches him off guard. She clenches her tiny fist, confessing she has no idea what comes next. The concept of freedom feels completely foreign to her. Understanding dawns on Yoonjun's face, followed by a firm resolve. They stand in awkward silence until her stomach growls loudly. She announces she's hungry. Yoonjun smiles knowingly and decides they'll eat first and talk later. He promises her something tasty and nutritious, and her eyes sparkle at the mention of food. Downstairs, the tavern is quiet. Barrels of ale stand untouched as Yoonjun presents his nutritious meal, a strawberry roll cake. She immediately devours it with pure joy. Her eyes widen in shock as bliss washes over her. She declares it the best thing she's ever eaten. A pink-haired woman watches with interest, impressed by the girl's appetite, and explains the simple logic of having a separate stomach for desserts. An orc priest named Kim Dak-bae joins them, agreeing that growing kids need to eat. Yoonjun's expression turns serious as the topic shifts. The woman confirms there are no reports of missing elf children. Yoonjun rubs his hair, uncertain what to do. Kim Dak-bae explains that facilities are often cruel to non-human children, and the pink-haired woman adds that the girl is a half-elf, rejected by both sides. Annoyed, Yoonjun asks what they expect him to do. She suggests continuing the search while he looks after the girl. He reacts in disbelief, questioning why this responsibility falls on him. The woman accuses him of planning to abandon the child, and Kim Dak-bae agrees that sending her away would be too harsh. Yoonjun argues that raising a child isn't easy. The girl suddenly offers him a piece of cake. Yoonjun looks down, surprised and embarrassed. Flustered by her innocent kindness, he reluctantly takes a bite to see what's so special. His friends exchange knowing looks and decide to enjoy their drinks while he deals with his new responsibility. The pink-haired woman smiles as she sips her drink, while Kim Dak-bae pours himself another bowl of rice wine. She questions his choice and he casually calls her Nuna. That single word makes her eye twitch. She angrily tells him never to call her that again, reminding him she's only a year older. She complains that everything about him annoys her. He responds with an unapologetic shrug. Their argument echoes as the scene shifts outside. Later, the girl gently sets a bowl of food on the ground. She happily tells the recipient to eat. A small stray cat eagerly digs in while she watches. She asks if the cat is all alone, impressed by its independence. Yoonjun observes in shock as the usually skittish cat seems comfortable around her. Suddenly, the girl's attention shifts. She wanders down the alley and Yoonjun follows. At the end of the street, she stops. Under the clear sky, a shimmering blue gate has appeared in the middle of the road. The pink-haired woman and a stitched-faced man arrive. He sighs, saying they should be thankful it's an easy gate, while she fumes about the overtime. As the gate rampage begins, a task force assembles behind them. Soldiers prepare their weapons as their commander, Lee Yunyong, gives the order. A weapon flies out of the gate, followed by skull-faced goblins. A wall of fire surges forward, incinerating the first wave instantly. Lee Yunyong unleashes her flames, mocking the creatures. The soldiers open fire, cutting down the horde, though more continue to pour out. The stitched-faced man notices a goblin staring off into the distance. He warns them that during battle, the final sight they'll ever witness is a burst of golden light if they dare to look away from him. The man with the stitched face delivers a short but lethal vow. In an instant, a lone goblin is erased, and with a single clean movement, the remaining ones are sliced apart. Nearby, the pink-haired woman begins forming her own spell. With a snap of her fingers, raging flames pour forward. She sneers, mocking how laughably weak the creatures are. Her partner comments on her over-the-top style, and she casually admits she copied it from a comic. He calls her a nerd, and she immediately snaps back. To settle things, she suggests a light-hearted competition. He agrees without hesitation, already imagining his win and the free drinks that come with it. She responds with a confident grin, certain she'll be the one celebrating. Back at the tavern, a mug crashes onto the counter with a dull thump. She yells in disbelief after realizing she lost by just 1 point. Her face twists in frustration as she points at him in accusation. All she can do is lament her defeat while her partner proudly basks in victory. He cheerfully announces he'll enjoy his well-earned free drink. Yoonjun watches their playful argument with a faint smile until a sudden thought hits him. It's been more than an hour since his companions went out to deal with the gate. The small girl beside him, however, is completely focused on a cute video. He brushes the worry aside, assuming it's nothing unusual. Dungeon breaks are, after all, part of everyday everyday life. At that moment, the tavern door handle slowly turns. A new guest enters, accompanied by the soft clink of metal. Jun begins his usual greeting, but his expression stiffens when he recognizes the visitor. The newcomer looks thoroughly battered. The stitched-faced man immediately erupts, demanding an explanation. The pink-haired woman can only stare and mutter the word, "Chairman." Her partner freezes, confused by the title. The stitched-faced man questions it as well. The visitor removes his sunglasses, smiling confidently as he greets them like old classmates. Kim Hwan breaks into a cold sweat, instantly recognizing the man's authority. Is rank Hunter Pikachu, the chairman of the Hunter Association. He politely asks them to step outside, saying he has private business with the tavern master. Jun's eyes remain calm and unreadable. The stitched-faced man quickly agrees, dragging his partner along. She protests, but he tells her to read the atmosphere for once. With an annoyed sigh, she finally relents. Before leaving, the stitched-faced man thanks the chairman for the drinks. His partner celebrates, but he reminds her she still lost the bet. Jun then asks the little girl to go upstairs too. She looks up at the intimidating chairman with wide, curious eyes. Baek Chi-lu gazes down at the small blonde child. She beams at him with an innocent smile, and the powerful S-rank hunter surprisingly returns it. Holding her tablet tightly, she hurries up the stairs. The chairman watches her go, commenting on how energetic she is. Back at the counter, a glass is placed down heavily. Jun pours a drink, preparing the usual without being asked. The chairman smiles, pleased to be remembered, but Jun reveals a deeper bond by calling him Big Brother. The story then shifts, explaining how only 1% of humanity awakened extraordinary abilities capable of reshaping the world. These powers allowed them to fight monsters and build systems to survive. They became known as hunters and formed powerful guilds. But with too many gates to manage, some were neglected, leading to dungeon breaks. This crisis divided the profession into two paths. Regular hunters focused on clearing gates, while marshals served directly under the nation. The one who created laws to protect society and restore order was the legendary S-rank hunter Baek Chilgu, and that very guardian of the nation calls the quiet tavern master Yoonjun, his younger brother. Jun asks if the chairman knew he was here. The chairman confirms it casually. Taking a sip, he praises the drink with a grin. He mentions that Jun was never subtle in the past, earning the nickname Seoul's Mad Dog, a title Jun clearly hates, despite how fitting it is. The chairman admits that his brutal justice helped a lot back then. Jun changes the topic, asking how long it's been. 20 years have passed since he left to search for someone named Seo A. He asks if the chairman's senses ever returned. Baek Chi-lu replies that he still can't smell or taste anything. Jun questions why he'd serve good alcohol then, but the chairman laughs, saying he can still judge quality. He wonders why someone who loved wine would make such a deal. But the chairman has no regrets, having traded 2 senses for greater power. The chairman then asks if Jun ever found Seo A. Turning away, the tavern master admits he hasn't found a single trace of his daughter. The chairman questions his resolve after 2 decades, but Jun cuts him off sharply. The sudden intensity stuns the S-rank hunter. Jun declares he'll only stop searching the day he dies. The chairman grins, saying he's as fierce as ever, even in retirement. He adds that talk of death means little for someone who doesn't seem to age. Jun ignores the remark and asks for the real reason behind the visit. The chairman jokes that it's a family visit, but Jun isn't convinced. Baek Chi-lu admits only half of it is personal. The rest is strictly business. A heavy silence settles between them as Jun waits. Before the chairman can continue, a loud noise comes from upstairs. The little girl charges down the stairs, loudly demanding food like a dungeon break in human form. He tries to push her back, but her hunger is relentless. With a tired sigh, he heads into the kitchen. His hands move with practiced precision as he chops ingredients and lights the stove. Soon he prepares a quick meal. The delicious smell fills the tavern, clearly impressing the girl, though her patience is running out. He calmly tells her to behave if she wants to eat. The lighthearted moment fades as his expression hardens, and the chairman finally brings up the artificial hunter project. Jun asks if it's similar to the demon's old experiments. The chairman explains the side effect is mana addiction. While success rates are low, a compatible subject can become extremely powerful. Though unconfirmed, all evidence points to demonic involvement. Jun's stare sharpens, demanding the point. The chairman reveals a terrifying discovery. They're creating homunculi through forced crossbreeding of different races. Jun is left speechless. He argues such genetic manipulation should be nearly impossible. The chairman agrees, calling it a mad project with an enormous death toll. Jun can only express disgust. He asks why he's being told this when he's no longer a hunter. The chairman explains he already looked into the little girl, but even with all his authority, he found nothing. Jun asks why that matters. The chairman replies that in this era, being completely untraceable is nearly impossible, leaving only 2 dark possibilities. She's either a refugee from another world or the result of those experiments. Jun listens in silence, his face unreadable. The chairman adds it's more likely she's just a lost child who wandered through a gate. But if anything happens, he believes Yoon-jun can handle it. He only wanted to give a warning. Yoon-jun quietly thanks him. The chairman places his empty glass down and grins, saying he enjoyed the drink and promises to visit more often. Yoon-jun tells him to do as he likes. The door closes, leaving the tavern silent. Yoon-jun looks down, lost in thought, wondering who the little girl truly is. His thoughts then drift back to Baek Chil-gu. It seems even the chairman of the Hunter Association leaves without paying the bill. He sets the freshly cooked dish down in front of the little girl. She eagerly scoops up her first bite of kimchi fried rice. Her cheeks puff as she chews, eyes widening with pure, unfiltered delight. The unfamiliar flavor overwhelms her in the best way possible. Yoon-jun watches with a satisfied smirk, clearly proud of his cooking. As she continues eating, his thoughts drift back to the chairman's warning. No matter what the truth turns out to be, one thing is certain. This place is her home. Elsewhere in the city, chaos is unfolding. A massive fire engulfs an apartment building as an explosion tears through the upper floors. The flames intensify by the second. A mother screams desperately, calling for her daughter. She begs the firefighters, insisting her child is still trapped inside. One firefighter prepares to rush in, but his captain stops him, warning that entering now would be suicide. The young man refuses to stand down, reminding them of their duty to protect lives. His words hang heavy, but the captain grabs him and orders Kim Jin-soo to calm down. He reminds him of a fellow firefighter who died just last month in a similar incident. He urges him to understand the line between courage and recklessness. The harsh reminder snaps Kim Jin-soo back to reality. He can only stare at the raging inferno, powerless. A hand suddenly rests on his shoulder. A calm voice tells him to step aside. Cha Min-young announces she'll go in and save the child. The captain immediately objects, warning her of the danger, but she simply flashes her hunter license, saying there's no time for explanations. After confirming the child's location, she walks straight into the flames without hesitation. The firefighter asks if they should stop her, but the captain explains she's a B-rank marshal. People like her operate on a completely different level. Another explosion rocks the building. The firefighters recoil from the intense heat. The mother screams in terror as the flames grow even stronger. The entire structure becomes a towering blaze. The fire roars uncontrollably, devouring everything. The firefighters can only watch in horror. The mother's face twists in pure fear. Then, a silhouette emerges from the inferno. Cha Min-young walks out calmly, reassuring the stunned crew. She holds the child safely in her arms. She reunites the girl with her mother, explaining she's only unconscious. A crowd gathers, drawn by the scene. Among them, a man in a black cap watches with cold, exhausted eyes, completely unimpressed. The mother thanks Cha Min-young through tears. The crowd stares in awe, but the marshal simply runs a hand through her hair, thinking how being a hero is an absolute headache. Back at the tavern, the atmosphere is peaceful. Yoon-jun carefully measures ingredients for a cocktail. He shakes it with smooth, practiced rhythm and sets down a perfectly made sidecar. A customer with long dark hair takes a sip. C-rank marshal Kim Min-soo praises the drink as always. Yoon-jun smugly accepts the compliment, asking what else he'd expect. Beside him, a pink-haired marshal named Minyong sulks quietly. Yoon-jun complains about the gloomy mood in his tavern. Kim Min-soo tells her to relax since she's off duty. She snaps back, saying she couldn't just stand by and watch someone die. He agrees she did the right thing, but she's still furious about her captain. She vents about being scolded for 30 straight minutes. She questions how someone with no field awareness can lead a squad. Taking a long drink, she tells Kim Min-soo he should have been captain instead. She insists he delivers the best results on the team, but he brushes it off, pointing out his low rank. He explains no one would follow orders from someone seen as weak. She looks away, moved by his steady support. He then turns serious, reassuring her she did nothing wrong at the fire. Without her, the child wouldn't have survived. The thought of his own daughter in that situation terrifies him. He tells her to cheer up. Checking the time, he realizes how late it's gotten. She suddenly remembers it's his daughter's birthday. As he leaves, he tells her not to drink too much. With a wave, Kim Min-soo heads out. Yoon-jun comments that he seems like a good leader. Min-young agrees, calling him the marshal she respects most. The tavern master quietly adds that rank doesn't define worth. Her mood shifts as she orders another sidecar, this time a double. Elsewhere, night deepens over a silent building. The camera drifts through tangled pipes in a dark alley. A hand slams against the filthy ground. Kim Man-soo lies beaten and bleeding. His attacker looms over him, blaming him for his own misery. He rants about a world where hunters are born powerful. He screams that he only wanted a taste of that life. Kim Man-soo's silence fuels his rage. Blood stains his suit as he lies motionless. The attacker's eye glows with a dangerous light. He raises his bat, vowing to make him talk. The final strike lands with brutal force, leaving Kim Min-soo broken in the alley. At dawn, investigators cordon off the area. Marshals arrive to examine the scene. Minyong stands among them, her expression unreadable as she surveys the carnage. She grips her fallen comrade's blood-stained shirt. From his pocket, she pulls a photo of the daughter who's rushing home to see. Her teeth clench as grief hardens into rage. At the hospital, his daughter begs him to wake up. The monitors show he's alive barely. An oxygen mask covers his face. She trembles beside his bed, reminding him of his promise to celebrate her birthday. Tears stream down as her hope fades. Minyong stands with the doctor, asking about his condition. The doctor explains that while external wounds healed, the internal damage was severe, leaving him unconscious. Minyong's face stiffens as she looks at his grieving daughter. A burning fury ignites in her eyes as she makes a silent vow. Whoever did this will pay. Later, she storms through an alley consumed by vengeance. From the shadows, an unknown figure secretly records her. That night, under a crescent moon, Minyong watches a rundown industrial building, clearly a criminal hideout. She pauses to eat, lost in thought, because even revenge requires a proper meal break. Inside the ruined room, a man sits calmly, casually eating his meal. Around him lie the brutal consequences of his actions. Bodies are scattered across the floor, broken and unmoving. Yet his only concern seems to be the taste of his shrimp ramen. This man is Ryu So-hyun, the target Minyong has been tracking. She reviews his record, a hardened criminal with a long list of offenses. Stepping over the wreckage, she confirms he's as vile as reported. The file states he escaped police using abnormal strength, an unregistered awakened, most likely altered through illegal demon exposure. A faint, icy glow flickers in his eye. The memory of the fire flashes through her mind. Ryu So-hyun recognizes her immediately, sneering as if she's beneath him. Standing amid the fallen victims, she announces his arrest for multiple crimes. Her words are answered with a manic, chilling laugh. He mocks her, calling her just another arrogant awakened. He scoffs, asking if she really believes he'll surrender quietly. She dismisses him as trash that learned to speak. She reads him his rights, adding her own sharp revisions. Her icy tone only fuels his fury. He screams that she was simply born lucky. He roars at her not to look down on him and slams his weapon down in rage. Minyong doesn't even flinch. His strike carries enough force to shatter bones, but she stops it effortlessly with a single punch. It's like hitting an immovable wall. Shock and anger twist his face. She meets his glare without fear. Grabbing his collar, she questions his hesitation before smashing her fist into his face. A swift kick follows, sending him staggering back. Pain and disbelief contort his expression. Before he can recover, her heel crashes down on him. She mocks his obsession with luck. Another hit sends him sprawling. She asks how someone so pathetic managed to defeat a C-rank marshal. Her taunts only deepen his rage. She orders him to stand up, saying the real punishment hasn't even begun. Her knuckles crack as she prepares to finish it. Another punch lands hard, knocking him off balance. Yet a twisted grin spreads across his face. He lunges forward screaming, but his movements are sloppy and slow. She catches his fist, twists his arm so it encounters cleanly. She questions how someone this weak ever posed a threat and drives her fist into his stomach. He's hurled backward, eyes blazing. She flips through the air as he crashes into the ground, concrete shattering beneath the impact. She lands unharmed, eyes locked on him. Standing over the destruction, she asks what he's waiting for. Cracking her knuckles, she tells him it's far from finished. Suddenly, his eyes swirl with an unnatural pattern. He snarls again about being looked down on, and for the first time, surprise flashes across her face. As her punch connects, she senses something shift. Dark energy erupts from his body, exploding outward in demonic force. From the smoke, a skeletal monstrosity forms. Minyong freezes, truly shocked for the first time. The creature lunges with terrifying speed, catching her completely off guard. Its grip is iron. She struggles but can't break free. The monster lands with eerie grace, its shadowy body twisting unnaturally in midair. Limbs bend at impossible angles before snapping into a low, predatory stance. It declares the game is over. Minyong spits back defiantly, unfazed. She confirms his demonic nature and states she no longer needs to hold back. Fire gathers in her palm as she prepares to fight seriously. The demon charges with a roar. She sidesteps at blinding speed, leaving it grasping empty air. Her flames explode against it, shattering its bony mask. She chains the attack, unleashing a massive inferno. The demon howls as it burns. She fires an even stronger blast, but the screams suddenly stop. Shock crosses her face. The demon is smiling. It enjoys the flames. It begins absorbing her fire, devouring the magic itself. She watches in disbelief. It mocks her, praising the flavor before smashing her with a devastating strike. Thanking her for the meal, it surges with renewed energy. Its speed skyrockets. She barely blocks the relentless assault, arms crossed as blow after blow crashes down. The attacks are heavier, sharper. Its power now rivals the upper limits of B rank. Refusing to surrender, she fires another blast. It only cracks a hardened layer of its skin. The demon taunts her, breathing fire as if savoring her strength. It dares her to use her flames again. She calls it a freak. Grabbing her, it slams her into the ground. She knows she's faster, but its raw power overwhelms her. Worse, her fire only makes it stronger. Changing tactics, she lands a brutal kick to its jaw. The creature barely reacts. She realizes one mistake could end everything. The demon mocks her for thinking mid-fight, but her sudden burst of speed catches it off guard. She moves beyond her limits, driving an uppercut upward. The demon counters instantly, landing a vicious blow. Her will doesn't waver, but blood coats her hand. She looks down, realizing how severe the damage is. The demon rants about a lifetime of being scorned. Now, with this power, no one will ever look down on him again. He demands she beg for mercy. She refuses without a word. Her defiance enrages him further. A tired smile crosses her face as she accepts what's coming. She thinks of her friends wishing for a miracle. She closes her eyes, ready to die. Then, a final spark of resistance flashes. A figure appears, stopping the demon's final strike. Minyong stares in disbelief. It's the tavern master. The creature snarls, demanding to know who interfered. Jun's cold gaze answers silently, asking who dared touch one of his regulars. Minyong is frozen, unable to process it. The little girl arrives, holding a healing potion sent by the mister. Minyong thanks her, calling her Ruri, and gently asks her to close her eyes. Pain and resolve clash across her face. She knows the potion could heal her hand instantly, but she makes a different choice. With a scream of agony, she endures unimaginable pain, making a brutal sacrifice to free herself. Her eyes burn with fierce determination. Her hand is ruined, but she's finally free. She hastily pulls the cork from the healing potion and gulps it down in one go, clearly caring nothing for the taste. She inhales sharply as powerful magic floods her body, her expression hardening with resolve. The crushed bones and torn flesh of her hand rapidly mend themselves. The speed alone proves it's a top-tier potion. Once her hand is fully restored, she gently shields Ruri's eyes and softly tells her it's okay to look now. Minyong thanks the girl sincerely, calling her a true lifesaver. Ruri smiles brightly, promising to repay this kindness for generations to come. At the same time, Yunjin's grip remains absolutely unyielding. The demon snarls in useless fury, thrashing and demanding to be released, but the tavern master's stare is icy and firm. With effortless strength, he swings the demon through the air and smashes it into the ground. He casually scolds it for struggling so much. The impact cracks the concrete beneath them, leaving the creature embedded in the shattered floor. He orders it to stand up, then launches it across the warehouse. Minyong watches in awe, impressed by the precision. Smoke and fire erupt from the crash site, yet the demon emerges unharmed, roaring that it will never forgive him as it unleashes a blazing stream of fire. Jun watches the approaching flames without concern. He raises one hand, calmly identifying the fire breath attack, then mocks it as cute. With a simple flick of his hand, the inferno disperses. Minyong pulls Ruri close, stunned. She can't believe the attack was erased by nothing but air pressure. The demon looks around in panic, unable to locate its opponent. Before it can react, Jun is already behind it, demanding attention. He slams his heel down with bone-crushing force, scolding the demon like a misbehaving child. The creature snarls, demanding to know how this is even possible. Its red eye burns with raw hatred, but Jun only lectures it about basic manners. Realizing words are wasted, he calmly explains that the demon made 2 fatal errors. He punctuates the statement with a sharp kick, noting that listening seems to be an issue too. Deciding it won't learn peacefully, he prepares to teach it the hard way. The demon staggers upright, still defiant. Jun begins listing its mistakes. The first was messing with one of his regular customers. The demon recoils, stunned by the lecture. The second was interfering with a father celebrating his daughter's birthday. Clarity flashes across the creature's face as doubt creeps in. The third was making that little girl cry, and the fourth was putting the tavern master in an exceptionally bad mood. He unleashes a brutal flurry of punches, sending the demon flying. Minyong wisely covers Ruri's eyes, knowing this beating is far from child-friendly. The demon weakly protests that only 2 mistakes were mentioned at first. Jun's cold stare dares it to question his counting. He stands over the twitching body. Feeling much better now, Minyong can only stare at the completely one-sided destruction of a B-rank demon. She wonders who this man is, fighting barehanded with such overwhelming power. Jun simply looks unbothered. He turns to her, noting her injuries healed nicely. Still flustered, she struggles to process everything. He tells her not to worry, calling it a free service for regulars. After all, he's just the friendly neighborhood tavern master. He asks her to repay him with future business and leaves with Ruri in tow. Minyong is left alone amid the wreckage, utterly speechless. The warehouse falls silent beneath the night sky. The moon watches over the sleeping city as the scene shifts to a quiet hospital room. Inside, Kim Masu's daughter keeps watch by her father's side. His hand lies motionless, but suddenly a finger twitches. His eyes slowly open, seeing the world again after days of darkness. Weakly lifting his hand, he tries to understand what's happening. The IV drip confirms he's alive, though far from recovered. His daughter sleeps beside him, worn out from days of worry. He gently strokes her hair, a silent promise finally kept. She stirs, smiling faintly, then opens her eyes to see her father awake. He apologizes for making her worry. Shock and relief flood her face as tears spill freely. She cries his name and throws herself into his arms. For a brief moment, everything feels right again. The scene shifts into a memory as a heavy metal door slides open. A woman in a lab coat leads a much younger Ruri through a sterile hallway. The child struggles to keep up, gasping for breath, but the woman urges her forward. Swiping a keycard, she desperately tries to open the next door, then tells Ruri to run ahead alone. As the girl bolts for the exit, the woman turns to face their pursuer, resolve hardening her expression. A massive red-skinned demon blocks her path, snarling viciously. The woman, IRO, stands her ground, telling Ruri to run. She pulls out a familiar object and gives the girl one final instruction. Energy crackles around her hand as she warns Ruri of what will happen, telling her to escape far away and live freely. Ruri jolts awake, calling Iroh's name. Back in the lab, the heavy door is ripped from its frame. IRO triggers the emergency lockdown, sealing the passage and buying Ruri time to escape. Ruri looks back in terror, asking if IRO will follow. IRO holds her position, telling her the answer should already be clear. She offers a sad final smile and urges her to run. The door seals shut, separating them forever. Ruri is left alone in the cold corridor, tears streaming as reality sinks in. She presses her small hands against the door, refusing to leave, collapsing as she reminds IRO of their promise to escape together. Her cries echo through the empty hall as the memory fades into the quiet night. Morning breaks peacefully over the tavern. Inside, Unijun dreams of being too full to eat, only to be jolted awake by a pillow to the face. He opens his eyes to see Ruri laughing. His expression says everything. This kid is trouble. She greets him cheerfully with a bright good morning. Their routine now includes pillow fights and scolding. She proudly introduces herself as Lee Ruri, age 12, casually mentioning she was born from a secret lab experiment, while brushing her teeth with what looks like chocolate toothpaste. They move through the morning in perfect sync. After rinsing up, they prepare for the day. Ruri explains she can sense mana fluctuations when a gate is about to open, and right on cue, she feels one forming. Her claim is immediately confirmed by a buzzing phone displaying an official gate surge alert in the district. She calls out to Unijun, whose expression remains unreadable. Casually, she predicts who will be visiting them today. Her main concern, however, is demanding food to earn her keep. Elsewhere, the stitched face man reflects on his benefactor, Yun-un, the mysterious tavern master. Strange but kind, a man who handles problems alone like a storybook hero. Ruri fondly remembers helping him save Minyong with her potion. She notes that he complains a lot but always listens to her. The perfect word comes to mind: a complete pushover. Her thoughts are cut off as breakfast arrives. Unijun tells her to eat quietly. She beams, thanking him for the delicious food. One spoonful is enough to confirm her theory. All bark, no bite. She boldly declares that he's the best cook she's ever encountered, and questions why someone so talented is too lazy to put proper dishes on the menu. In seconds, her bowl is completely wiped clean. She pats her satisfied stomach and cheerfully thanks him for the food. He tells her to handle the cleanup, and she happily agrees, sprinting off with enthusiasm. Her version of cleaning, however, is simply stacking the dishes in the sink and calling it a day. As time passes, the tavern shifts into business mode, and before long, familiar faces begin filling the bar. The stitched face man arrives with his pink-haired partner, settling in as usual. Ruri watches everything with bright, curious eyes, soaking in the lively atmosphere. Suddenly, she excitedly asks for one of the grown-up drinks. Unijun immediately shuts that idea down, telling her to try again in 10 years. She doesn't give up, pestering him non-stop until his resolve starts to crack. His friends jump in, warning him not to spoil the kid. For a brief moment, he hesitates, but Ruri's exaggerated pout proves far too powerful. With a tired sigh, he gives in, deciding that one harmless drink won't cause trouble. He prepares a special beverage just for her, the legendary Shirley Temple, a kid-friendly drink made for adult gatherings. He explains its origin, a mocktail invented for a famous child star who couldn't drink alcohol. He jokes that the original Shirley Temple probably begged for a drink just like this. Ruri accepts her very first cocktail with trembling hands, her heart racing. She takes a cautious sip, and in that instant, her entire perspective shifts. Her eyes light up as she declares it the tastiest thing she's ever had. He suggests she learn to make it herself, but she's already plotting how to ask for another. His friends laugh, fully aware that he'll never refuse her. Ruri heaps praise on him, calling him the best. Her tone suddenly shifts as she grows serious, asking him to protect her secrets. She admits she's terrified that if people learn the truth, she'll be abandoned again. She makes him promise to keep everything hidden. Elsewhere, the scene moves to a local gym, where sweat and effort define the air. A young man prepares for a personal milestone while his friend pumps him up. He grips the barbell, muscles burning as he fights against the crushing weight. His face twists with effort as he strains to lift it. With one final roar, he succeeds. The two celebrate the new personal record, emotions overflowing after a year of relentless training. Their victory is interrupted when a quiet voice asks if they're finished. The young man quickly offers to clear the weights, but the pink-haired woman calmly says there's no need, as it's perfect for her. The two friends stare in disbelief, trying to warn her about how heavy it is. Ignoring them, she steps up, her eyes sharp with focus, and lifts the bar effortlessly. The gym bros are left speechless as she continues her set, easily surpassing 10 reps while they completely lose count. Yet her thoughts are far from the workout. Her mind is consumed by the tavern master. She recalls his impossible speed, far beyond any retired B rank, and the priceless healing potion he handed over without hesitation. She despises owing anyone, and now she owes him her life. Frustration builds as she questions who he truly is. The stunned gym bros now have a new mystery as she finishes an absurd number of reps. Her thoughts are abruptly cut off by a buzzing phone. She answers, her expression immediately turning serious. The scene shifts to another district, Orctown in Yonkanu, where a news report warns of a dangerous cult spreading throughout Korea. A scar-faced man arrives at the cult's supposed gathering place only to find a gruesome sight. A bloodied hand lies lifeless on the floor, belonging to a brutally murdered man. The scarred man surveys the scene calmly, blowing a bubble of gum, unfazed by the violence. The body shows signs of precise, merciless attacks. Minyong and her stitched-face partner arrive to investigate. She studies the deep wounds, concluding the attacker is highly skilled, yet something feels wrong. The victim was a D-rank hunter, which means the killer is anything but ordinary. She quickly realizes this is hunter-on-hunter violence, a case meant for the marshals. She jokes about the overtime, demanding a strong drink as compensation. Her partner explains the body was discovered that morning in the Hwarang Guild Hall. A barrier was immediately set up to keep the public away, which she praises as a smart move. He reveals this murder is part of a growing pattern. All the victims were low-rank hunters, and the suspect is at least B-rank. Minyong complains that B ranks have been nothing but trouble lately. Her partner adds that what's strange is the location. Hunter-on-hunter killings usually happen inside dungeons where evidence vanishes. This time, the crime happened in a public place. Minyong suggests the culprit might be an unregistered awakened. He agrees, noting some avoid registration to stay hidden. The victim had gone missing 3 days earlier and was the youngest member of her team, a promising rookie. Her partner admits he wants to personally hunt down the killer, but a dungeon raid forces him to hand the case over. She reassures him, saying it's a marshal's responsibility anyway. Trusting her completely, he steps aside and she accepts the case with a confident smirk. Hours later, the investigation officially begins. She studies digital crime scene photos carefully. Once everything is logged, it's time to head out. Orctown is dangerous, so she'll need backup. Suddenly, an idea strikes her. She knows exactly who to ask. She returns to the tavern and asks Yoonijun to help with the investigation. His response is an immediate, firm no. He tells her he has no interest and orders her to go home. He questions why he'd ever agree to something so troublesome. So much for being easy to persuade. Despite his complaints, they soon find themselves in Orctown, greeted with open hostility. The orcs' aggression disappears the moment they recognize the tavern master. Yoonijun tries to keep things straightforward, asking for information, but the orcs recognize him as the infamous Mad Dog of Seoul. Terrified, they claim ignorance, begging not to be targeted. His patience thins, his glare promising consequences for wasting his time. The two orcs flee in a panicked, almost comedic retreat. Minyong questions the nickname, which he reluctantly confirms. He asks to leave, but she refuses outright, dragging him along. Their search leads them through convenience stores and busy streets, observing Orctown's daily life. A drunk goblin stumbles into them, offering a drink. Minyong continues questioning locals, jotting notes, but no one is eager to talk. Hours pass as they wander the maze-like streets. Her patience wears dangerously thin as she complains about the wasted time. Yoonjun, meanwhile, seems to have gone shopping. Suddenly, she spots a familiar figure in a nearby alley. It's Kim Deok-bae, the orc priest from the tavern, comforting a distressed goblin. Their hands meet in a quiet prayer, a solemn ritual amid the bustling district. Minyong and Yoonjun approach. Kim Deok-bae seems lost in thought until he senses them behind him. They call out, catching his attention. He confirms there's trouble and that their timing couldn't be better. Minyong is surprised by the coincidence. He leads them toward a nearby construction site, his fist tightening as tension fills the air. In the shadows ahead, a group in cloaks gathers. One cloaked orc steps forward and begins preaching about the history of their people. He speaks of an age when the people were powerful and proud, living in abundance where hunger was unknown. They once served only a single ruler, the Great Lord of Death. Then, without warning, they were dragged through a dimensional tear. The world they arrived in was cramped, filthy, and unforgiving. This town was nothing more than a pale imitation of their homeland. Even so, they accepted their fate, fully aware they were outsiders. He claims it was the orcs who first sought coexistence. Instead, humans answered them with ridicule and hatred. The crowd erupts, their fury fueled by his speech. Kim Deok-bae quietly explains the situation to his companions. A new cult known as Orcas has begun targeting hunters. Their ideology is rooted in old orc traditions where combat is sacred. The real danger is how the cult has become a rallying banner for bitter, marginalized orcs. He admits that despite revised laws, discrimination still runs deep. Yunai-jun dryly remarks that humans can't even stop fighting among themselves. Minyong asks how someone so traditional became a priest. Kim Deok-bae explains that peaceful coexistence requires understanding human customs, and becoming the world's first orc priest was his way of building that bridge. He praises the tavern master for grasping this so quickly. Minyong wonders why they can't just resolve things over drinks. Kim Deok-bae shakes his head, knowing some conflicts go far deeper. Uni-jun's gaze sharpens, cutting through the noise. He decides it's time to track down the fool attacking hunters. The looming construction site stands as a symbol of growing unrest. Below, cloaked members of Orcas gather. Their leader fans the flames of resentment, and the crowd answers with a furious roar. He shouts about working 3 times harder for half the reward, asking if they'll keep enduring such injustice. Fists rise as the crowd roars in unity. Watching from the shadows, Yunai-jun notes how blatant they are and how hard it will be to single anyone out. Minyong sighs, calling the investigation a nightmare. She chooses a direct approach, planning to walk straight into the crowd. Her companions watch as she steps forward, politely asking for their attention. She introduces herself as a marshal and flashes her ID, explaining they're investigating a nearby incident and need cooperation. Murmurs ripple through the crowd. One orc wearing a red bandana grows visibly uneasy. He slowly retreats, but Yunai-jun calmly points out that someone is running. The orc bolts instantly. Minyong shouts after him, but he vanishes into a narrow alley. The crowd blocks her path as she pushes forward, slowed by uncooperative cultists. Meanwhile, Yunai-jun and Kim Deok-bae cut through effortlessly. The chase continues until Kim Deok-bae suddenly freezes, eyes wide. A scarred, gray-skinned orc blocks the path, radiating menace. The priest recognizes him as Park Chun-bae, who returns the greeting with a cold stare. As the two lock eyes, the real suspect gains distance. Minyong grabs the priest, snapping at him to focus. Their only lead is escaping. Her sharp command jolts him back just as the suspect disappears across the rooftops. The fleeing figure races through twisting streets, regretting not stopping sooner. But Yunai-jun is already closing in. The suspect darts into a side alley and peeks out, convinced he's safe on familiar ground. Confident no marshal can catch him here, he relaxes, until Yunai-jun casually appears, asking if they lost someone. The tavern master lifts him effortlessly, ending the chase instantly. The others arrive, shocked by how fast it ended. Kim Deok-bae leans in to identify the culprit, but the goblin cries out for their father. The priest realizes this isn't their man. Yunai-jun explains she's just a kid and asks why she ran so desperately. She admits to stealing wallets from drunk hunters passed out on the streets. Minyong and Kim Deok-bae are left speechless. Later, under Orctown's quiet rooftops, Minyong asks if he let her go. He confirms it, after a strict lecture. Kim Deok-bae offers to repay the victims, but Minyong questions his modest priest's income. He explains he has other revenue sources, raising more questions. Orctown handles its own gates without hunter assistance. Due to past disputes, orcs manage their own defense, a deal the association accepted. He even secured Vatican approval, though backup is still called for high-rank gates. Every adult orc possesses at least D-rank strength, making them formidable. But since the attacker is at least B-rank, the suspect pool is small. A troubled look crosses the priest's face as he recalls the scarred orc from earlier. That cold stare is unforgettable. He confirms one person fits perfectly. Minyong folds her arms, wondering how they'll force a confession. Yunai-jun says there's only one answer. They need bait. As night falls over Orctown, a young hunter strolls through the alleys, humming happily. He carries a bag of snacks, lost in thought. Seonk Hunter. Hongok chats excitedly about sharing food with friends, praising the snacks and cold drinks. He walks on, completely unsuspecting. From above, a cloaked figure watches his every move, gripping a heavy wrench. The hunter debates his beer choice, finally noticing he's being followed. A heavy boot steps forward, breaking the silence. Terror floods his face as the figure blocks his escape. Cold sweat pours as he realizes he's trapped. Adrenaline kicks in and he bolts. The attacker stays close, striking with brutal force. The hunter barely dodges, snacks scattering everywhere. Panic sets in as he scrambles to run. A detection spell he placed earlier triggers, offering brief relief before he realizes he's still being chased. He runs straight into a dead end. The cloaked orc blocks the exit, declaring it's over. He accuses the hunter of scouting their territory for weeks. Nongo insists he was just on a food tour, an excuse that convinces no one. The orc raises the wrench to strike. As the hunter screams, the blow is stopped by a massive green hand. Another orc intervenes, blocking the attack effortlessly. He greets the attacker, saying he knew it was him. The cloaked figure is revealed as Park Chun-bae. Kim Deok-bae confirms his fears, disappointed it was an old acquaintance. Park Chun-bae snarls his name in reply. The priest calmly scolds him for misusing tools, then tightens his grip and crushes the metal wrench barehanded. Park Chun-ae's fury explodes at the overwhelming display of strength. Snarling, he reaches for a concealed weapon and lunges forward, shouting that he'll use his tools however he wants. His face twists into raw, unfiltered rage. Kim Deok-bae steps in to meet him head-on, lifting his foot to strike down his former friend. But a sudden realization stops him cold. The rookie hunter was nothing more than bait, and this entire situation reeks of a trap. Deciding not to push his luck, he turns and retreats before the odds shift against him. The chase erupts as Park Chun-ae sprints down the alley, rage burning in his eyes. Just as he thinks he's escaped, two familiar figures block his path. Minyong and Yoonijun greet him calmly. The trap has closed. With nowhere left to run, Park Chun-bae snarls, refusing to go quietly. He launches a desperate attack, but Kim Deok-bae restrains him, promising there's no escape. The scarred orc glares back, barely containing his fury. As the two orcs clash, Yoonijun and Minyong observe. She notes it took 2 full weeks for him to finally take the bait. Elsewhere, their bait, Nongok, celebrates a mission accomplished. Minyong thanks him, explaining that marshals are far too recognizable for undercover work. Yoonijun praises his sharp mana sensitivity, saying he has the potential to become a powerful mage. The young hunter grins, declaring his dream of reaching S rank someday. When asked about Orctown, he excitedly admits it was terrifying at first, but the food tour made it unforgettable. His review seems convincing, but he checks the time, realizing he's late for a raid. He confirms the deal is complete and happily accepts his reward, a month of free drinks. With a cheerful wave, he disappears into the night. Minyong comments on how young he seems, only for Yoonijun to reveal the truth. Their so-called rookie bait is actually 26 years old. Minyong is stunned, realizing he's the same age as the orc priest. She wonders if having a baby face is his hunter trait and desperately wants his skincare routine. But Yoonijun's attention is elsewhere. The real showdown is about to begin. Cornered in the alley, Park Chun-bae's fist crackles with wild, uncontrolled power. He charges Kim Deok-bae with a furious roar. The priest meets him without flinching. Their fists collide in a violent clash that echoes through the narrow alley. Kim Deok-bae stands firm, resolve hardening. Park Chun-bae's face burns with hatred as they collide again, the impact sending both stumbling backward. The two orcs face each other in tense silence. Kim Deok-bae asks if his old friend truly is the serial killer they've been hunting. Park Chun-bae admits it, coldly adding that he only targets humans. When questioned why, he explodes into a rant about injustice, claiming orcs are superior and destined to rule this world. A textbook villain's speech. Kim Deok-bae realizes this is the opening move of a larger war, something Park Chun-bae doesn't deny. He scoffs at the idea of coexistence, calling it weakness. Kim Deok-bae tries to reason with him, but Park Chun-bae cuts him off, mocking him as the 17th chieftain, who abandoned warrior blood for human faith. Calmly, the priest explains that in a world ruled by humans, coexistence is the only way forward. Park Chun-ae calls it betrayal. Kim Deok-bae quietly calls him brother, hope fading from his voice. But the scarred orc's eyes are already decided. Their bond can't bridge this divide. With a vicious snarl, Park Chun-ae declares he's done talking. He tears away his cloak, eyes glowing ominously. Kim Deok-bae's power answers in kind. Park Chun-bae states that words are meaningless now. There's only one way left to communicate. The priest clenches his fist, accepting it. As warriors, they will settle this properly. They leap apart, preparing for battle. Kim Deok-bae reveals a massive tattoo and formally challenges his brother to an honorable duel, an ancient orc tradition when diplomacy fails. Among orcs, the victor's words become absolute truth. Anyone who refuses to accept the outcome must fight until death. Park Chun-bae strikes first, lunging with savage force. Kim Deok-bae absorbs the blow, expression unshaken. They trade devastating strikes in the grimy alley, rage fueling every hit. Forgotten snacks litter the ground, silent casualties of the fight. Park Chun-bae follows with a crushing kick to the priest's head. The impact is brutal, but Kim Deok-bae doesn't fall. Park Chun-ae leaps into the air, declaring this the end. The priest dodges, rolling aside as the blow crashes down. The fight continues at blinding speed. Kim Deok-bae is knocked to the ground, his opponent towering over him. Park Chun-bae mocks him, shouting his name and asking if running is all he knows. They clash again among steel beams. He sneers, accusing the priest's warrior blood of thinning under human faith. Kim Deok-bae's resolve only hardens. Park Chun-bae screams about the childhood vow they made to fight for their people, sealed over juice boxes. He demands to know if that promise meant nothing. Kim Dak-bae catches the next blow, sorrow etched across his face. He asks if his brother truly believes it was all a lie. Tightening his grip, he answers simply, no. Power crackles around him as he declares his devotion to their people has never wavered. Park Chun-bae calls it nonsense, lifting him and slamming him down for bowing to humans. The impact shakes the alley. Kim Deok-bae kneels in the dust as his old friend accuses him of forgetting what it means to be a warrior. But as the priest rises, a dark aura gathers around him. He quietly questions that definition and asks if throwing lives away in pointless battles truly makes someone a warrior. His power surges, and when he strikes back, the shockwave rattles the alley. Park Chun-nae is sent staggering. He insists everything he's done was for their people, but Kim Deok-bae cuts him off, reminding him that words are meaningless now. In a duel, the winner decides the truth, so he should stop talking and fight. The words only deepen Park Chun-bae's rage as the brutal battle continues. Minyong wonders if they should intervene, but Yunai Jun explains that, for orcs, this duel is sacred. She compares it to a children's card game, oddly accurate. He points out something crucial. Kim Deok-bae bears no scars. Despite clearing A-rank gates, his unmarked body proves overwhelming strength. Among orcs, he's top tier. Minyong is left speechless. Park Chun-bae rages inwardly, convinced he's grown stronger for his people. He can't understand why he's losing. He refuses to accept defeat at the hands of a so-called traitor serving human gods. He screams in denial, rejecting reality. Then, a strange voice whispers in his mind, telling him the truth he refuses to hear. His god, Orcus, has already abandoned him. It tempts him to abandon a false god and grasp its hand, promising limitless power in return. With that strength, he can tear apart the traitor, blocking his way over and over until nothing remains. Park Chun-bae releases a feral roar, his eyes blazing with unnatural light. Kim Dak-bae watches in stunned silence, realizing his old friend is on the verge of making an irreversible mistake. A grotesque form slams into the priest with overwhelming force. The impact rips through the construction site as Kim Dak-bae is sent flying, crashing violently into a distant wall. Park Chun-bae roars again, his body fully warped into a demonic shape. Minyong immediately recognizes the signs of a demonic transformation and senses that his power has surged to at least A rank. In stark contrast, Yuni Jun remains completely unimpressed by the sudden power boost. The corrupted orc stands amidst the rubble, the honorable duel seemingly forgotten. Kim Dak-bae spits out blood and forces himself upright, staring at his former friend in disbelief. Horror settles in as he realizes Park Chun-bae has allowed demonic mana to consume him. In the midst of what was once a sacred duel, the priest's disappointment ignites into blazing anger. He condemns the use of external power as betrayal of a warrior's pride, demanding to know where orcish honor lies within such a monstrous form. His voice roars with conviction as he declares that no